Oh, yes. I didn't get the memo, but obviously we're on the way.
Thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. I'm excited about the opportunity to sign these three measures that really advance our commitment to equality for women. I think most importantly, just wanted to thank the Women's Legislative Caucus. I know that Senator Hirono was part of that caucus once upon a time, and certainly, Senator, just to let you know, they are as committed and they're more effective since I've become governor. But that's something that I take a little bit of pride in. And these measures were also supported by the Hawaii State Commission on the Status of Women, and I know that some of the commissioners are here as well. I think they're very important measures that we are moving forward with. The first bill, Senate Bill 1039, would assist sex trafficking victims in Hawaii who are at risk of being misidentified and criminalized by law enforcement. Sex trafficking victims often face significant barriers to disclosing their past and seeking support. They often fear retaliation, physical harm, and emotional manipulation against themselves and sometimes their families. Current laws allow sex trafficking victims to have their convictions expunged from their records within 6 years, but only with proof of victimization. And this measure that's before us, Senate Bill 1039, removes this unrealistic requirement. We do know that the previous requirement made it difficult to have these convictions removed. This new, soon-to-be new law will reduce the requirements to being able to have their records expunged 3 years with no additional convictions. Senate Bill 1037 amends the offense of abuse of a family or household member to include blocking the nose and mouth or applying pressure to the chest when defining non-fatal strangulation. Non-fatal strangulation is often a precursor to death. 90% of strangulation murders in the U.S. are related to domestic violence, and certainly that's why all of you advocated for this measure. This bill clarifies that bodily injury does not have to be visible to establish the offense of strangulation. And then finally, House Bill 483 extends the deadline for the Legislative Reference Bureau to complete the study requested in Act 110 of last year. As all of you know, as advocates, Act 110 was our commitment to the Patsy Mink Equal Opportunity in Education Act, providing parallel provisions and protections to ensure that girls and women in our community are not discriminated against, especially for educational programs and activities. You know, I do think that it's very important for us to stand up and be counted in this area, and certainly providing for additional time would assure that.
Thank you very much, Governor, for hosting the Women's Legislative Caucus today. For those of you who don't know, the Women's Legislative Caucus is a bipartisan group of women legislators in both the House and Senate, and it was founded in part with Senator Mazie Hirono, to whom we dedicated our package this year, and along with some other wonderful women legislators that we all stand on the shoulders of. We have a number of members here today: Senator Roz Baker, Representative Tina Wildberger, Representative Della Al-Baladi, Representative, I'm sorry, the new representatives are still getting my name, Lisa Kitagawa. It's in my area, where I should remember. And now that I'm having to say names in front of people, my mind is just blanking out completely. Senator Sharon Moriwaki, Representative Linda Ichiyama, who is one of our co-conveners, along with Senator Roz Baker and Representative Lauren Matsumoto, who could not be here today. She is at home. Senator Miley Shimabukuro and Lorraine Inouye. And one of the other almost founders, Representative Cynthia Thielen, Representative Joyce Ann Buenaventura, Amy Peruso, and am I missing anybody else? We also have our partners here, the Women's Coalition. Some of our founders said that the women legislators would benefit a lot from having input from women who are working on the front lines in various advocacy groups, and the coalition works very closely with the Women's Legislative Caucus, coming forward with ideas for bills that we discuss as a group and then helping us advocate and moving them forward. So I want to thank all of the various groups that are here today and for all the hard work that you put in, and I see a number of young interns that you have with you as well. So thank you very much, and we're looking forward to working with you through all of your careers and having you carry the torch for us. I'm supposed to just say a couple words on this one bill, the bill relating to prostitution, allowing the vacating of criminal records. I just want to say that in 2019, the days of the scarlet letter are over. People who have been in prostitution should not have an onerous burden on them once they leave that job to be able to vacate their record and be able to have access to other employment. And so we're very grateful to the legislature in supporting this bill and you, Governor, for signing it.
Thank you. Representative Ichiyama?
Senator Baker.
Oh.
Yes, I too want to.
Clapping for people?
Thank you, Governor. I too want to congratulate and thank the governor for always signing the Women's Legislative Caucus bills in a special venue. We've been over at the Y in the past, and of course it's a great privilege to be here in the ceremonial office here at the state capitol. One of the bills that I wanted to speak about is Senate Bill 1037, which is adding strangulation in. As Governor cited in his opening remarks, you don't often see a physical bruise as a result of either your nose and mouth being covered or your airway being obstructed, and that can cause death and other kinds of permanent injury. And we know that that's a way that sometimes perpetrators engage in abusing a spouse or a girlfriend. So we thank you very much, Governor, for signing that. And I would be remiss if I didn't also thank you for one bill that you signed earlier that was really part of our package, and that was the licensure for midwifery. So thank you very much. It's an honor to be here as we witness the signing of these very important bills.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Just a few remarks on House Bill 483. This is a follow-up bill to last year's Act 110, as Governor mentioned, and wanted to thank everybody for supporting it and working on it. Gender equity and education. Even though the law has been passed decades ago, we still have a lot of work to do, and I'm happy to note that the caucus continues to work both with the University of Hawaii and the Department of Education, who are still revisiting and revising their policies. So we appreciate their work as well as the work of the legislature, and thank you so much, Governor.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we also wanted to express our gratitude, which is why we dedicated our package this year to Senator Mazie Hirono. She's one of the co-founders of the caucus, and I hope she'll share with us the story she shared with me about the founding of the caucus, which is really, really something. And I think it shows how far we've come, but also how far and how much work we still have to do. I think that her courage last year showed the rest of the country what we have always known, that she is a staunch advocate for women and will stand up for the underdog no matter what. So thank you very much, Governor.
Thank you. I would like to thank the legislators who are here, and I think those of you directly impacted. I appreciate all of your support to appropriate funds so that we can make commitments to construct the facilities required. I have recently, in the past 4 or 6 weeks, released funding for Campbell High School Women's, Kealakehi High School, and a number of others. So just really want to thank all of you for your support in making those appropriations. I know that we all recognize we all have a lot of work to do, and we are committed to following through and ensuring that everyone in our community has equal access to educational opportunities. Senator Hirono, I am happy to invite you up to say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, and to all of the legislators who are here. Some of you have been here a couple of decades, as I actually spent 22 years in this building, 14 in the State House and 8 years up here. It all, wow, comes back. Mainly good memories, I have to say. I signed a few bills into law myself at this desk, including the bill that enabled us to look at hate crimes as a category. Thank you very much. Yes, the story of how the Women's Caucus began when I was in the legislature. This was in the 1980s. And I remember there was a group of us, women legislators, who said we should start a bipartisan Women's Caucus. And then the powers that be, which were the guys, said, why do you want to do that? That's so divisive. Shouldn't we all be working together? And we said, oh, well, okay, we'll give that a shot. And then we didn't get very far with our package of bills that protected, against violence against women, and there were other issues. So then we wised up and said, we're going to form a bipartisan caucus like this some 20 years ago. And then lo and behold, one of the great things about this caucus is that you do reach out and work with advocacy groups outside. It's a package that comes with a lot of work and support. And lo and behold, I think the guys got scared of being against these bills. And we got a lot done. Absolutely. So you're doing great. Fear is a great motivator. No, don't. But the effectiveness of coming together is really the critical part. And I can tell you, in the U.S. Senate, when women got to sit on what were generally the male-dominated committees, like the Armed Services Committee, when we addressed the scourge of sexual assault in the military, there were 7 women, more than ever, on that committee. And it is not as though the men on that committee did not care about sexual assault in the military, which was rampant. But when the women got on that committee in a bipartisan way, we really focused on it. And that is why women's presence and working together makes a huge, huge difference. What's going on nationally is that you all know there's an all-out assault on women's health and women's right to choose. There are all kinds of laws that restrict voting access. You name it, the rights that we all fought for and thought we had won, including, of course, a woman's right to choose, voting rights, civil rights, all of these rights are being challenged, and that is why it is so important that a lot of these protections get enacted on the state level. There's a lot of focus on what states can do to protect our democracy, to ensure that people can vote, to do the kinds of protections that the federal government is not doing very well. So I commend you for your continual advocacy and effectiveness, and I'm glad to be part of the original group. I think you were, yes, Roz, right? Roz was involved, and Cynthia came a little bit later, but it's good to know that decades later we're still fighting back, because that's what it takes these days.
Absolutely.
Aloha, everybody.
Yes, thank you. You can stay up, maybe. We're going to sign. And just for the record, I'm outvoted in my family. I have 2 daughters and my wife, who obviously are advocating, like so many of you, for the day that women can truly be treated equally in every single aspect of our community, because that's what they deserve. So thank you, and please, I'll invite all the legislators would want to recognize Representative Wildberger, Majority Leader Bellotti, Al, and who else is with me? Yes. Yep.
Actually, Governor, Senator Hirono was on first. women that I met when I joined the House a long time ago. She was chair of the Consumer Protection Committee in those days.
Well, I have to say she was one of the first representatives I met, male or female. So first up, yes. First up is Senate Bill 1037, Senate Draft 1, House Draft 1, Conference Draft 1, a bill for an act relating to domestic violence.
That's the
And this is the one that deals with the strangulation measure.